one thing that I'd like to remove, the reverence around a black belt. I think that really does people a disservice in that it keeps them from being willing to experiment. It makes them index too much on, oh, if this person beats me, then it's a loss and I suck and I don't deserve my belt, And you might be denying yourself good training and learning opportunities.
Just because they're up higher on the hierarchy doesn't mean that they do anything else besides probably know more jiu-jitsu than you. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily knowledgeable about any other domain in life.
Or that they're a good person.
Or that they're a good person. Whoa.
Hello. Welcome to Jiu-Jitsu Ponderings with Lauren
and David.
All right. Let's get into it. We're coming at you from Washington State. We're visiting my family. Got a little training in, getting some New Year's Eve time in, family time, and should be good.
Rapid fire question. What are you doing this week with the holidays and New Year's?
Not going out, because no.
Nope.
No.
No, but thank you.
We did get our New Year's Eve training in at the open mat.
Yes. That was really nice. Mm-hmm. Jeff over at Isla in Tacoma was very nice and invited us over. We had a little snafu flying up here. Our plane had mechanical issues. We had a deplane. Got a little bit of a 10-hour hangout at the airport, but we got in. We flew first class somehow. The gate agent was a real one.
Yeah.
Hooked us up.
He hooked us up.
And we got there. It's been nice. We went ice skating yesterday.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was super fun. Yeah.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
And
it was cool seeing the kid get into it. I was like, I've been ice skating, and she's just like just going around.
Yep.
Got to go around the circle. Yeah.
Go around the circle. It was nice because she was pretty receptive to like some of my coaching. Mm-hmm. I'm like pretty good at ice skating, not great, but pretty good because I played hockey for a little bit, and she was quite receptive to coaching. So that was really cool, and she was getting better just in session. It was awesome.
Yep. And I only fell once, making sure I didn't run into somebody else, and like ate it on my knee, and so it's bruised but not bad. So it's nice when usually if we come up here, there's like, there's ice skating or there's trampoline park, and trampoline park proclivity for injury is way higher. Yeah, I'm like, no more backflips. That's trampoline park. But yeah, so now it is funny doing other things. We're like, okay, like this is cool, but I also can't get hurt for jiu-jitsu or life.
I think it's probably our personality challenge too, because we're like, well, we're gonna send it.
Yeah.
It's not like we can go there and like bounce a little bit. We're gonna go and do the things. So, but yeah, I don't know what else we have on the docket, but family time and hanging out and
our
chilling.
Treat to the child is that for New Year's Eve, we're going to watch a couple episodes of South Park, which is really like questionable parenting decisions, but whatever. All right. She's very interested. So
it's not like it's her first time seeing
South
Park.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's how life goes.
And then the rest of this week, try to do a little more jiu-jitsu. This week we did film your BJJ Fanatics session, ankle lock, enter the foot dragon, leg lover 9000 special.
I think the
title to be decided on.
I think I posted a story. I got a lot of really good submissions. I think the title, I still can change it, but I think the title is going to be Leg Locks Don't Work and Other Lies.
Yes, that one's so good. That's amazing.
So that one was that was really fun. We were able to film on Sunday. Took much longer than I would have liked, but also we learned a ton. So Felicia and Sam, two of our friends, were the videographers and the ook, and you were the time person. Helping out as well. It was a great experience. Learned a lot. Probably changed things up a little bit, but it was a long day for sure. But I'm really excited. I'm hopeful that everything's good when I send the clips to upload and everything else like that. It'll be all good. But yeah, it's exciting. So in a few weeks, time probably should be uh, in an inbox near you. That'll be cool.
What aspect are you most excited about sharing with people? What's like one move that you're excited to share?
Well, I mean, it's all the ankle lock from short X for the
Mhm.
most part. I think that the core position with understanding, I mean, this, I'm like dodging the question somewhat,
Mhm.
but the core understanding of like what the goal is from the ankle lock and how the various grips and escalation points are accomplishing that goal.
Mhm.
And just to be like very brief, the ankle lock, in my opinion, is about making it as tight and reinforced as possible to create the braking mechanism. And we explore a lot of the positioning, but also the grips and how to escalate and like philosophies and conceptual ideas around that. And then there's a whole lot of like how to enter and some of the reactions and that kind of stuff. But I definitely think that understanding the end stage and what we're trying to accomplish at the last bit is very important for a move like this, where I
Mhm.
feel like it's very necessary to go A to B to C to D for a lot of other moves, and you progress and you find the trouble, or the thing in the road, and then you iron it out. For here in the ankle lock, I found when I teach my seminars and everything else like that, I find that the understanding what is a good ankle lock finish is just much more powerful. And then how to get there. There's so many different ways, so many different entries and that kind of stuff. That I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Nice. You also have now taken that we really packed it in the weekend before. I don't even remember what we were doing on Saturday, but I know Sunday I trained, which was cool, and I really appreciate the class was kind of heel hook attacking and defense oriented, so that was awesome. And then we filmed, and then we came back, and you did the IBJJF rules course
Mm-hmm.
for several hours, and then we had to get the house ready and blah blah. What about the rules course though? I'm curious, what was one or a few takeaways that you had that maybe you didn't know before?
There were a couple, especially around advantages and some of the more of the edge case type of situations
Mhm.
that were pretty interesting. Also, some of the like you get a penalty for if you're in 50-50 and you grab the belt or the lapel and you don't sweep within 20 seconds is
Mm.
like an update. I think because of Tainen and the
Oh.
Grand Prix crown events or whatever,
Mhm.
where it's like you'd hang out. Okay, come up at the last bit and then
Yeah.
get your win. Um, so a lot of it was reinforcing some of the things that I already knew, but then there were a few tidbits along the way that I was like, oh, that's interesting and useful, especially on some of the sequencing and stuff. So nothing was like mind
Yeah,
blowing,
yeah,
but there
sure.
were a few things, especially, I compete so much and I like to coach, even if it's, friends or people I've competed against and I'm friendly with, I'll try to coach. And it just is more impactful if you are knowledgeable about that space. And
Mhm.
I coach you a lot too. And so
Mhm.
there's it might come into play to be able to make sure that I'm a pretty good understanding of the rules. I got a 95%, which was pretty solid. I think the one question was kind of a challenging edge case, but it is what it is.
Is there anything that you could see, "Oh, when I go for this, I'm gonna do something differently," or, "I'm gonna keep this in mind"? You mentioned the 50-50 one, but I'm curious if there's anything
I don't
else.
really do that from 50-50,
Yeah.
so it's not something that I'd have to think about that. That's a good question. I don't think there's a like a strategic or tactical change of anything in my game that I would be making.
Mhm.
But I think the real value is understanding for coaching, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. I think the other, not even a rapid fire question, but the thing, we had some technical difficulties.
It is pretty funny that I feel like we've been pretty lucky in that we're on episode 9 now.
Yep.
Yeah. And it was the first time that we have had like a major, like, oh, we just lost enough footage that we have to, and it's 11 o'clock at night that we got to just like call it and
Yep.
refilm somewhere else. So I'm glad we've made it this far.
So you're about to see our check-in questions and answers right about. All right, check-in questions. Okay.
Reflecting on the year of training and competing, what are a few things that you are proud of, David?
For training and competing, I think that the first few things that come to mind are obviously finishing the year in the top 3. I was number 2 in IBJJF, black belt, nogi, masters 2 overall ranking out of like 1,300 athletes. That's really cool. Consistency, showing up and stuff like that. I didn't have a single loss in nogi in an IBJJF Open, like a Sacramento, San Jose type thing, and that's back-to-back years that's been true for nogi. So that's awesome. I went 4-0 in super fights with 3 belts, 2 with sub kumite, and then 1 with fight to win, which was awesome. I think that
what are a few things that
I rounded out some of my training to diversify some of my game plan, and I've been building on some of the like blueprints methodically in certain areas, and started being a little bit better at addressing some of the things that people are doing to nullify some of my game, to varying degrees of success, but it's like I'm at least being purposeful in addressing that, and I think that that's been pretty nice. So I think those are a few things that I'm pretty proud of, and like still, even when like life is difficult and injuries or sickness and work and all that other stuff, like just being a little bit resolute and still competing, still going out there when it makes sense and stuff. So I think those are a few things.
Nice. I think that for me, this was my first year competing at black belt. Like I got my black belt in roughly December of last year. And
it was a year ago.
It was, yeah, basically exactly a year ago. Today. Wow.
I think so.
Oh, wow, that's wild.
Within a day or two, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And
happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the biggest thing for me overall is coming out and showing that I am, a threat at Master 2 black belt, even this fresh, and getting some of my fastest submissions ever has been really cool. Both of them, I believe, were knee bars from K-Guard, which is pretty sweet.
Stole my move.
Yes, stole your move. It finally came together. I think from the seminar that you did at Black Sheep a while ago, that was where it like started, and then there were some follow-ups because I would use K-Guard to go to backside 50-50, and it was kind of like, well, what are you going to do from there,
Yes. I challenged you. I'm like, that's
not... can't heel hook. What are you going to do,
And I will say, one of them was against a Nogi Pan champion, and the other one was against a Nogi world champion. So it's not like you're just knee bar and slouches.
Yeah, totally. So, and that's been really cool. It's always, really nice to enter a belt rank and not have to question if you belong, because the inverse is definitely really hard. You can only go by so long, like feeling like, oh, I'm the underdog, I'm just, there's no pressure on me. You also feel the inverse sometimes of like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be here.
And you got, it took you had an interesting voyage to black, but your purple belt was a long time, but your brown to black was only like
It was a year, yeah,
year and a
probably
half.
about a
Year and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like it
Mhm.
wasn't like you were marinating at brown for a long
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
And so like extra cool that you had double golded at Master 1 Brown Belt Worlds
For no
last
gi.
year for
Mhm.
no gi,
Mhm.
and then got promoted after, because like what else are
Yeah,
you gonna do
yeah.
there?
Yep.
And then right away we're competitive, and
Mhm.
also winning really some exciting matches.
Yeah.
One of the most exciting matches I've seen you do was,
Oh, the double leg takedown.
yeah, with
Yeah.
I'll paint the picture for a second. You can probably
Sure,
find
sure.
the
Thank
clip
you.
of this.
Yep.
She It was her first Masters 2. Her first match was at adult at
That's
San Jose
other
Open.
jumping into I will say I'm proud of jumping into adult because there were no Masters 2 people.
Or Masters
And
1.
no, there were a
Oh,
few,
there
yeah,
were?
or no, not at lightweight. There was feather and there was middle. I think. I
Yeah,
think
something like
so,
that.
yeah. Because some of our friends fought at Master 1. And I occasionally get this itch. There's just like dog hair in my face. I occasionally get this itch to like, no, I'm gonna still go do it. And I
Mhm.
lost by like 2 points or something, you know?
No, you
Um,
lost by an advantage.
by an advantage, that was
Or
it?
two
No.
advantages. There was no points scored.
Really? But
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
double pulled, so
Yeah.
she just came up?
Yeah.
Um,
I remember.
um, yeah, and so it was, I'm proud of myself for like getting out there and like being like, no, I'm gonna be competitive here too, yeah, and so that
Okay.
was cool.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So go on. Yeah. So you're
So
talking
her
about
first Masters 2
Mhm,
tournament,
mhm.
she goes in, and it's just like her first bracket, lightweight. Some of the feathers and other people all conglomerate,
Yeah.
and it's not common that opens have any matches, let alone
Mhm.
like several matches. And you had a previous Master World Champion, a Master World Champion, a Masters bronze medal, and another person that is like American Nationals and some other like successes.
Mhm.
And then Lauren beats a Master World Champion, beats someone that had placed third at
Mhm.
Master Worlds, and then loses a tough match against like the number 1 ranked overall person. And then so it takes second, awesome
In my
job
division, yeah,
in her
yeah.
division.
Mhm.
And then she didn't want to do the open. I was like,
I
oh, just
didn't? Really?
no, you didn't. You
Oh,
were
that's
over
funny.
it. You're just like, well,
That was a lot of matches,
it was a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
matches,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, just sign up, and
Mhm,
we were staying right
mhm,
by.
mhm.
So we're like, okay, we'll go to the hot tub, and we'll see
Yeah,
how you feel a
yeah,
little bit later, and then like it's always the case that they'll,
yeah, yeah.
she and I
I'll
will
get
like end
back,
up
yeah.
coming back, and then so she goes against the first person that she beat,
Mhm.
which was the Master World Champion again, and then has a rematch in the finals, and is
Against the person that I lost
the
to,
person
yeah.
that you lost to,
Mhm,
and you were up in points 2-0 for a while, and
mhm,
then you get swept late,
mhm,
and then you have the leg and you come up and you go out of bounds and you
mhm,
don't collect the points, so you get an advantage,
mhm,
but they start you up standing, and
mhm,
there's 5 seconds left, and I can remember hear me yelling on the I
mhm,
was like, you just gotta go, and then
mhm,
like they start you,
mhm,
and you just spear double her, and like the crowd, because like a lot of people were watching
mhm,
anyway, because it's like women,
mhm.
like in the
Yep.
finals, it's cool to see, and like people were going nuts and stuff like that. It was literally like 5 seconds left,
In
so
my mind, I was like, there is only one way to win this, and I just have to shoot and try to double leg her right away, and
right
that's the
away,
only thing I can do.
because you still need
Yeah,
to you need to
yeah,
have it down for 3 seconds. So
yeah,
you need to literally like within 2 seconds
yeah,
get it down to the mat.
yeah. And the
And
guy went "Kombach," and I just pew shot
yeah,
like I never shot before.
yeah,
And
because
yeah, it was very epic. Yeah,
you don't double leg very often.
yeah,
But
yeah.
hey, like
Sometimes you
and
just
I
got to get it done.
and it's funny that also is the photo
Mhm.
right before you start back up. That's the photo that
It
I
is the
put the
photo.
dragon
Yeah,
wings
yeah, that
on.
is the photo.
I have a
That's so
really cool
funny.
one. We'll take a picture, probably add it to this.
Oh god.
Yes, because it's hilarious.
Oh my god.
Where like she's just like in her feral activated mode. And I was like, that was really cool.
Mhm. Yep, yep. No,
So
and
I'm proud
so
of you for that
thank you,
and
thank
other
you.
things,
Yeah.
but
No, and so it's just really I'm just proud of myself for continuing to find the joy in competing and the excitement of having these like epic battles at black belt. I used to feel like I would be most bummed losing if I felt like nothing really happened in the match. I've had some like I remember my first fight to win. Um, I got taken down, which like, props to the chick. She did a good takedown on me. And then she just held me in half guard and I couldn't escape. This was when half guard was still one of my worst positions. And
mm,
like there's still some things to fix up, but it was just so boring. And I was just like, that kind of stuff is just like the worst. And so
yeah.
it's pretty cool feeling like for the most part, even if I lose, like it's still, like pretty epic. So yeah.
Yep. And a third place at Master Worlds in the
Yes.
gi.
Finally, yes.
First
First
black belt.
first medal in general at Master Worlds.
Yes.
And so
But
yeah.
I mean, you saved it for when you're a
Yeah,
black
saved it for
belt,
black belt.
and
Yeah.
then double gold or double silver at Nogi Pans, which
Yep.
is cool.
Yep,
So,
totally. Yeah, 2 submissions there, so that was
yep,
nice.
some good
Yeah.
outcomes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very
Cool.
exciting.
All right, looking at the upcoming year, what are a few bigger picture things you are excited about or working toward?
I think to go back to the previous question, one thing that I'm proud of continuing my Nogi conquest. And so that relates to the upcoming year in that I feel like I'd like to hone in a little bit more on some of the advanced Nogi kind of stuff. And so working what we're doing right now with working some heel hook defense and ironing out some of the things where regardless of what rule set is happening, whether it's like super fight or EBI overtime or whatever, I feel really confident. I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping I've started going back to the gi. I'm hoping that I can feel like I can switch back and forth a little bit more.
Yeah.
I feel like my no-gi game is really set and really clear. And coming back to the gi, it's like, oh, like berimboloing is way easier with this grip and throwing omoplatas and collar sleeve. And so I'm hoping I feel a little bit more like both of my games are very clear in both.
Because in the past, it's like
Yeah.
you've felt like you've had to like switch. It is now no gi season.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yep.
I train a little bit gi, but it's mostly no gi.
Mhm.
I'm really working my no gi game. And then when it's, after no gi worlds, it's switch over to gi season.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I think I'll still do some of those bigger switches for big events.
Yeah, like more of an emphasis,
Yeah.
but not necessarily like
Mhm.
in totality.
Yeah. And so, I think we're kind of questioning if we want to do ADCC trials come April. That could potentially be where some of this leg lock stuff leads to. And I think that there will be some good tests and some super fights and stuff to see if that's worth pursuing. But otherwise I think just just kind of continuing and seeing where things go. And if at some point I'm feeling like I need a break, like respecting that, but so far just continuing down the path is exciting. And it's nice to get back to the gi and start to work berimbolo stuff again. And yeah. And it's like getting, I think at both Master Worlds and no-gi worlds, where you're in really the top tier, you can see how deep the level gets, and so I think now I have some information to index on and to say like, hey, how can I, make sure that I'm like podiuming and ideally like trying to get to, to number one.
Yeah.
That like doing that at Master Worlds would feel really good. So as long as everything stays healthy, and life doesn't get in the way too much, like I think, really trying to set the stage for getting ready for that tournament will be awesome.
Yep.
What
Makes
about
sense. I think I'm still thinking about reflecting and deciding what kind of emphasis I want on the year. So, some of this is still a work in progress, but I think a few things I'm looking forward to are, um, you know, some more super fights that are fun and exciting and challenges. I'd like to get a Nogi fight to win belt under my at least the opportunity to fight for a belt.
I think
Maybe
to interrupt you, that is one thing is that I'd like to get back on the super fight scene a
yeah,
little bit more. Ideally with people close to my age, but you know, we'll see.
yeah.
We'll see.
Sometimes
Sometimes you just gotta take what they give you,
sometimes
especially
it's
for the ladies, you
yeah,
know.
I feel like
So
ladies is a little
yeah.
bit harder. It's like not only
Mhm.
is it like the belt and the size,
Mhm.
but also you're like, and you got to get it close to the age. It's just the pool is not as deep,
Yep.
especially
Yep.
ones that are ready to bang and that are not like rematches too. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times super fights they don't really want rematches unless
Mhm.
they're
Mhm.
compelling of some kind.
Mhm.
Um, so I think like super fights, I really like what Sub Kumite has been doing, and so um, you know, having a title defense or several this year would be really cool. Um, I think you know it'd be really awesome, and I'm trying to make inroads on this, but sneak onto who's number one on the Masters would be
Hell
really
yeah.
cool. I don't, that's like a long shot, but if possible, um, make it happen. Um,
We were talking about this earlier, and I think one thing that we're both interested in is getting another retreat on the docket.
mhm.
It was really fun to do with BJJ Backwoods, and I think the or Backwoods BJJ retreat, BJJ Backwoods retreat. Yeah,
BJJ backwoods, like the cabin. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember their like Instagram handle or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I think doing one with them, but also potentially planning one where we maybe have a little bit of a destination involved as well would be
Yeah. And a
really
little bit
cool.
longer too.
Yeah.
Not like terribly longer, but we're targeting maybe around spring break, doing one in the Monterey-ish area, or possibly up in Mendocino, Point Arena area,
Mhm.
the Mendocino, Sonoma coast. Possibly, I think it'd be really fun and interesting to spend a little bit more time. We can both offer these because I did a retreat last year, you did a retreat last year.
Mhm.
They were both really, really fun and thought they were worthwhile, not only for the attendees, at least that's what
Mhm.
they reported back,
Mhm.
but for myself. And welcome back. So should
Yes.
we move on to topics?
Yeah. Yeah,
All
let's
right.
do it.
I will start by asking you, what are a few things you would like to add to Jiu-Jitsu culture?
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing that I would like to add or encourage people to do more is to take greater steps to address nagging injuries instead of trying to just ignore them. And I think that, that can kind of come from where I'm saying, "Hey, this is you should take a look at this," is assuming that you have insurance and that you have a capable, orthopedist or, you can go through some steps to try to get some more information on what's happening is really the core of it.
Yep.
Um, and I've found for myself at least that even with injuries where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is, really is it maybe it's not that big a deal, maybe it is, but I want a little more information that generally at least going to the ortho and potentially then doing PT and then seeing how things are, it often just really helps and like
Yep.
resolves things, and gives me the confidence, or if like I went for my shoulder earlier, I was like, this is kind of bothering me, and I know I have some old, damage to it that could be potentially getting worse. So let me go find out. And he's basically like, you seem much stronger than 90% of the shoulders that I see in here, like you're fine. And on one hand that's a little weird if you're having pain, on the other hand you can be like, okay, like I'll warm it up a little extra, but it can give you that confidence of like, all right, if this expert says that I'm good, and and they generally seem to have an understanding of how crazy this sport is that I do, then I can move forward.
Yeah, I think that's like I currently do have a couple injuries that are from various different things.
Hmm.
One jujitsu and another something else. But uh echo what you're saying, and my PT is kind of like use pain as your regulator. You're not gonna make it materially worse unless it's, you know, a very like stepwise
Mhm.
increase in pain.
Mhm.
And that's just telling your body's just telling you, oh, like you need to take a little bit better care, whether it's
Yeah.
prehab, warming it up, rehabbing it, or you're just going a little bit too much. Like
Mhm.
try to avoid utilizing it. And so using pain as a barometer of how much to use it or back off, maybe
Mhm.
take a little bit of a break. But it's important to get that data
Mhm.
and that knowledge. And just because someone says, oh, like you're probably gonna need surgery or it's this thing or whatever,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean you need to act on
Yeah.
anything that you're gonna like get that it's data, it's information that you can then, you know, get different opinions or try a couple different things to approach. But
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like, and what kind of you're alluding to, I think, is that people will have a pain in a certain area and be like, oh, it's, you know, in your knee, for example, oh, it's my knee is torn. I don't want to have surgery, so I don't even want to get an MRI
That's the
on
main
it.
thing. They're like, "Oh, if I go to the doctor, they're gonna be surgery happy and wanna, cut me open, and I don't wanna go to there, or they're gonna tell me that I shouldn't train jujitsu," which, like, that's crazy. I'm, of course, gonna train. And I think actually, at least in some of the doctors that I've personally worked with and some of the ethos around performing surgery is they generally don't want to if they don't have to, Or and insurance-wise, they have to put you through various steps of physical therapy often before they can even order an MRI. So I would say that's where I would suggest, hey, getting information is not going to hurt you, and you're not going to now have this dilemma of do I get surgery or not. You're often going to, have other things that are happening along the way that will mostly they'll either be neutral or they'll improve your
Yeah.
life and your pain and everything. I just think physical therapy is generally awesome.
Yep.
So
I
and it's
think
covered by insurance.
generally,
It's
yeah.
basically like advanced personal training for a very specific body
Yep.
part. And so that's what I'm like, yeah, I want to pay $30 a session for someone who has a lot of know-how and I can, maybe sneak in questions about
And
other
then
things.
if you don't have like the insurance that covers or whatnot, there
Mhm.
usually are a good amount of you need to make sure you find the right resources online,
Mhm.
like knees over toes for knees
Mhm.
and even like back and stuff.
Mhm.
A couple other people or like a good resource.
Yeah,
And
Supple Leopard book is always
yep,
great if you're down to just have that
the
the
tome,
tome. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
That one's a lot, but or just it's very information dense. But if you can do
it's a
it
good
and
reference.
use it to rehab yourself, that's what you can even without insurance or that access to care. There are so many resources online. So even just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna take some steps. I'm gonna ask around and see what I can do."
You want to find what you're trying to
Yeah,
rehab because sometimes it's like if you're trying to do the wrong rehab, it's not going to be effective and whatnot.
sure.
One nice thing too is like a lot of like say your shoulder
Mhm.
area, a lot of the rehab is all basically the same,
Mhm.
and you're trying to just overall build it. And so
Mhm.
there's a lot of like really good stuff.
Mhm.
And then one quick bit of advice is try to go to orthos that deal with sports
Yeah.
like athletes
Yep.
because they're going to understand at least
Mhm.
understand that you're probably not going to just stop doing jujitsu,
Yeah.
and they'll usually give you a couple different like options of
Mhm.
how to progress and then proceed from there.
Yep. Nice. What about you? What would you add to jujitsu
I think a
or
little
jujitsu
bit
culture?
the jujitsu culture, and I think it's already gravitating towards this more, and I think that something that I'm trying to internalize a lot is focusing on longevity of training
Mhm.
and not being like the tough guy, not having an ego, not um, you know, making like I want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. And I don't get me wrong, I still struggle with this of, not tapping because of ego and that kind of stuff. But I think just, think about what is necessary for you to be able to keep training in the long term. And the other thing I'd say is like normalizing therapy, finding the right therapist for you if you do need it, which I think a lot of people could benefit from that, is like a personal trainer for your mind, and not looking down at other people that do need it. And
Mhm.
like I've had a couple of friends recently who unalive themselves, and it's really tragic and sad. And I think it's really important for people to be able to um, like feel like they have that.
Those are really good points, both in terms of like training for longevity and like mental health. And I feel like I've thought that Americans, especially, you know, we have a lot of cultural things that feed somewhat negatively into that. We have like the Rocky Balboa of like, just keep getting hit and keep coming back. And it's like, it's very cool for a movie. And I think we really like that aspect of mental toughness and grit.
Sure.
And it's good to have to a point, and it creates some really unfortunate learning moments of, oh, I could have just tapped and not needed to now have surgery on my shoulder or knee or whatever. And so I think finding the balance of grit to being, you know, making good decisions for your own health, and sometimes asking like, if where is this coming from? You know, like why am I deciding to be this way, and is it a good decision? Is a good
Sometimes those
question to
two
ask.
things are related.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah,
therapy can help get you there. And don't get me wrong, it's not to be soft. You know, it's like
yeah.
you can be really gritty, have a
Mhm,
lot of perseverance, be very tough, and, you know, still be smart about how you
mhm.
train and compete. And it's like the general heuristic that I use is, even in competition, like sometimes you're in a spot and if I don't see a clear way out, I'm not going to just take extra damage
Yeah,
just to last another 4 or 5 seconds.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like there needs to be a good reason, like the time's almost out, or
Mhm,
oh, I feel like I can squeeze out if I really just. And so that's part of it. And I think that, you know, another like element of this is you don't need to train full blast every single time,
mhm,
tough rounds. You need those in your
mhm,
training, especially if you're going to compete. But you also don't need to be trying to, you know, go full blast every single time. There's a
mhm.
lot of value in finding the flow rolls and the rolls that are like, you know, I'm going 50, 60, 70%, and maybe the other person is going a lot more, but they're just not as good as me. And so I'll go into their A game and work that, you know, and just, you know, kind of experiment. And sometimes like you're going to go against really good people and you're not going to want to rev up to 90, 100%. Like sometimes you take the bad positions and work from there. Like there's still value from that. And so I think it's a holistic approach that, you know, you can certainly have a lot more fun with jujitsu because you can stay on the mat longer. You know, our good friend Dave Meyer, one of his things is like you don't want to be off the mat because of a stupid injury
Yeah.
or something that you could have avoided very easily. And, you know, it's a marathon, and sometimes we forget that. You know, sometimes you get zoomed into the here and now in this round and this exchange, and it's good to have some ego. I think it's really good to have some ego, but not too much and not all the time.
Mhm.
And I think that at least for myself, I want to be training for another dozen plus years.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think especially talking with Dave and other folks and experiencing life in general, and listening to Dave's new podcast, Ageless Warrior Lab, there's a lot of wisdom to be had around that whole ethos of, you know, you don't want to miss mat time unnecessarily.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is having this tough guy machismo type of mentality that's not serving you.
And it means you're not going to allow yourself to open up and experiment as much, you know,
Yes.
in ways that it's very interesting hearing professionals who say like, oh yeah, I tap all the time in training, because they're trying things and they're learning where the mistake can be made. I remember Gary Tonin says that. I can't remember who
Gary
else.
Tonin was saying that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wish I could see footage of someone like him who has that heuristic just on a regular day of training. You know, how often is he picking that versus like, you know, going hard or not letting things happen. I
Yeah,
think it's
and
very
one other
interesting.
really quick point on that
Mhm,
is like I am big on not letting things happen.
mhm.
Sorry, allowing things to happen when I decide to. And so
Yeah.
like if they do some good technique, I'm going to let them pass or get really close to passing. I'm not big on like they're starting to, I'm like, I'm going to let them pass now. I think that builds bad habits.
Yeah.
But I definitely do think you need to try things out. And even like what you were talking about recently in our first recording, but you're talking about you're coming back and you're like, I'm gonna keep trying this reverse grip to get to this Kimura like Hokage does, Fabricio Andre, and just explore and experiment. And it's okay if like it ends up getting me swept and or whatever, because I'm exploring a new position, and I'm okay with, you know, quote unquote losing in this exchange, because I'm trying to expand my game. What we don't want is we don't want stagnation. That's because you're afraid to expand beyond. And like you see a lot of this in jiu-jitsu for a lot of people that have been doing it for, you know, 5, 10, 20 years. And they know a lot, but they don't actually do a lot. We call them toads, somewhat derogatorily, where there's like they just do the same game over and over and over again. And I don't want that to be my style. I want to have my A game for when I'm competing or when I need to go against someone strong or whatnot, like strong technical and overall game wise. But I want to be able to continue to explore and find new blueprints to integrate into my game. Indeed. I intended to be brief on that one, and then you got me going.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
Okay, what are a few things you'd like to remove from jiu-jitsu culture?
One thing that I'd like to remove, and I think we're actually making a lot of headway with this, where you're seeing, you know, purple belts and other people that aren't black belts have high success at tournaments like ADCC, where they just have an advanced division, is removing some of the, and I think this is kind of what you're going to talk about too, some of the reverence around a black belt, or the idea of, oh, well, I'm an upper belt, so I should never tap or lose to a lower belt. I think that really does people a disservice, in that it keeps them from being willing to experiment. It makes them index too much on, oh, if this person beats me, you know, then it's a loss and I suck and I don't deserve my belt, when really you're just, the belt is, it's not meaningless, and it probably doesn't mean nearly as much as people put into it. And you might be denying yourself good training and learning opportunities. You know, like if I'm training with like a 16-year-old blue belt teenager, there might be some positions where I'm like, dude, he's strong and young and he's gonna catch me, you know, and like that's okay. And like, oh, that person, if they're good training, I don't want to skip that just because I might get caught, you know. So I think that's one thing that, again, I think we're headed in a good direction with it, and I'd like to see even more. It's like the belt is, it's not an honorific, or you know, it's, I don't know, it's a weird,
and you know, belts mean different things for different people.
Exactly.
And a lot of it is I feel like a black belt in its general sense, not everywhere is different, but in a general sense, it is, this person has taken a journey into this particular martial art and has a fairly broad and some portion of that very deep knowledge set. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to lose to someone that has a much narrower like knowledge base that's not quite as deep, but they're very athletic.
Yeah.
And they're very fresh and they're new and they like have the conditioning to continue going. And sometimes, or they are really knowledge deep heavily into one area.
Yeah.
And everyone is like different. Everyone has different capabilities and whatnot. And it's all about like who shows up on that particular day and how those games overlap and everything. And it's like sometimes the purple belts are going to win, you know, especially in Nogi, where the skill differential is harder to impose your will on sometimes.
Yes.
Especially because the gi nullifies a lot of big movement athleticism. And so I think that's something that's really interesting. I think in Nogi, you have the potentiality for more big upsets and weird things happening than in the gi. Which makes it a little bit more exciting on some level. But I think it's also, you know, I'll just jump kind of right into mine and we can come back to you. And it's like having a reverence for black belts in this capacity, but also in just the general, like just because they're at a up higher on the hierarchy doesn't mean that they do anything else besides probably know more jujitsu than you. They're just normal human beings.
So
Yeah.
you'd like to remove the reverence of black belts, like kind of culturally, not just the reverence of the belt in terms of, oh,
And
that means these things or
and
whatever.
it's like I think there's a reasonable and I agree upon like having respect for someone else's belt is good. You know, it's like, hey, that person took a journey. They've done a lot to get to that point in their life to be able to be awarded a black belt. Some easier, some harder, depends on your gym and everything else like that. And you know, you don't know if they're hurt that day or whatever it is, but they've done it. They've stuck around, and so you should applaud that effort for anyone that has a black belt that's not like purchased off of the internet. You know, someone that's legitimately gotten their black belt, it's a good accomplishment. But that's where it ends. You know, it's like it doesn't mean that they're necessarily knowledgeable about any other domain in life.
Or that
You
they're a
know,
good person.
or that they're a good person. You know, there are many good people. There are black belts, and there are many. You know, it's like anywhere else in the world, there are good people, and there are not so savory people. And you know, just because they're really really good at jujitsu shouldn't be that you idolize them. Maybe idolize their game in their jujitsu, but anything outside of that, it's like I feel like that's the case with you know any athlete or any person of status in any you know capacity, like a very successful business person. Same thing. It's like I could respect and admire what they do in their business world, uh, but that ends there, you know. And then it's like you take that, and then you assess the person as a human being beyond.
Yeah, the rest is proven on an individual
Yeah,
basis.
and
Yeah.
I default to certain like thought processes, and then I update my priors. I do Bayesian thinking, where you know I want to see how they are as a human in every other aspect. Now, there's a little bit of a caveat there in that like gym instructors just talk to a lot of different people, and
Yeah.
they're a good gym instructor is a good node, a good hub,
Hmm.
and will gain a little bit of knowledge here and there and can pass along to other people. Like
Hmm.
a great example of a really good gym instructor, I think, is someone comes in and it's like, oh, like I'm having some financial difficulty around like knowing what to do with my taxes because of this
Hmm.
weird issue. Oh, Tom over here, he does estate planning taxes. You should talk to him. And so they're making these
Yeah.
handshakes, these
Yep. Yep.
exchanges, and connecting the right people. That's a beautiful example of like a really good coach that they're not going to profess that they know. They're going to say, hey, I know someone that probably does know. And that's really cool. And I think that that's awesome. I wanted to go back to, unless there's anything else there.
No.
I wanted to go back to, you had a couple other things that you wanted to talk about that you'd like to remove from gym culture. Did you
I
want to
think
elaborate on them?
yes. I think one, of course. Again, we filmed this on Saturday night, and then we had the break of life happening. So now, okay, we're back in. So this came up where we were talking about someone that we know in the jiu-jitsu community who, and you hear this time and time again, they're teaching classes, maybe all of the kids classes or something to that effect, and they've been at their gym for a while, and they're not being paid to teach, and they're still paying a membership. And it's so crazy, the level of, well, I gave you something that you paid for. There was a business exchange, and now you owe me because I gave you this knowledge. And, this is just, I think a lot of, maybe not a lot of, I think some gym owners feel that way because that's just how it's been done. And, it
Yeah,
costs a lot of money, and it's very difficult to run a small business.
very
And that's,
strong cultural
yeah.
aspect.
And
Yes.
so, that's just how it is. And it's like, dude, this isn't like ancient Hokkaido or something, like you're not like, oh, I'm running a school and that's how I slowly bring up my next teachers or whatever. Like this is modern day times, and people need to be respected for their time and their, what they're doing. Like pay your instructors fairly. Of course there's probably room for, hey, this person can't afford a membership. Maybe they can clean a couple days, or maybe they can, help assist coach a
You're like
class or something
you're
like that.
exchanging like kind, you're
Yeah, yeah,
exchanging.
exactly.
There's a reasonable exchange
Yeah.
of whatever. It's
It should
train.
feel good to both parties. And I
Yes.
think that's where there needs to be good communication. Hey, bartering's cool, like, keep it going or whatever. But like the whole, oh, you owe me, and ergo now it gets to, I get to take advantage of you and not pay you for your time. Like, especially, I think what should become clear is, why are people leaving your gym? Like, why don't
Mhm.
people stick around? And the gyms that do have a lot of black belts still there, of course people will move or whatever. That's probably a good sign that, everyone is feeling like this is a good exchange, and that everyone feels, respected and everything.
Yeah, and
um
if it's
yeah.
and if you as a personal individual, not from external pressures, like feel like you want to teach for
Hmm.
free because you feel strongly about that. I've had people
Yeah.
that is very clearly, and the professor's like, here, let me pay you. And they're like, no, like
Yeah.
I want to give back to the community, and this is part of how I feel. That's totally
Hmm.
fine. That's obviously not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's the clear taking advantage of someone that's not
Yep.
acceptable.
Yep. Indeed.
All right, last thing. Don't train while you're sick or
This is
some
what you want to remove from training.
yeah, don't train while you're sick or have some nasty skin shit going on, you filthy fucking animals.
Now I have to
Take care of
beep
yourself.
you. Gosh.
Beat me. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
It's like if you knowingly have something going on, and if you're not
If
sure,
you're not sure, don't go to the gym. Like,
or
that's the,
go
or
and
ask.
ask
Yeah.
ask
Yeah.
your instructor,
Yeah.
and it's like, don't be nasty, and
Yeah.
don't get me sick. Don't get other people sick.
Yeah.
It's rude. It's selfish, and it's just not cool.
Yeah. And the sooner that you go see a doctor and get assessed for your whatever skin infection or whatever,
They'll go away.
thing, like, you'll be able to get treatment, and then it'll go away
And
faster.
some of that stuff is like you don't want to mess. I've had people that
Yeah.
have
We've heard of some gnarly staph infections
that turn into
Yeah.
MRSA,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
I mean, Marcelo Garcia,
Yeah.
right? Oh no, wrestler, what's his name?
Ben Askren?
Yeah, Ben Askren.
Oh,
That was
I
a
just for-
staph
that-
infection that went to his
God,
lungs,
That's so crazy.
and like he
Yeah.
almost died. He had to
Yeah.
have a double lung transplant that his insurance didn't cover.
Yeah.
It was like,
Dude,
it's
the
just you
worst.
don't know, and I don't know that he wasn't taking care of it, but it's like, as much as you can, clean the mats, take care of yourself,
Yep.
go shower.
If
Don't
you're
be
not,
don't
if
be
you
nasty.
got something weird on your body somewhere, it's a weird rash, just don't train. Ask somebody to take a look at it, ask your black belt, whatever, your pseudo doctor black belt to take a look. But yeah, if you're not sure, like, it could be bad. So yeah, go to the doctor, figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to move along. Is this a question from somebody?
I don't.
Was
it
this
might
from
be
Craig?
a question from Craig.
Craig, thanks
Wallace.
for all the questions. If
And
this
if it
is
wasn't
you,
your question, then still thank you. I love you.
still thanks. You're the best. All right. Has your game changed fundamentally as you've gotten older? Any previous techniques or strengths you've stopped doing, or new things you've started to do? Would you like to take a crack at this first?
No.
No? Okay.
You can go ahead.
I will say, kind of along the line of what we were talking about, I think when I was a white belt and blue belt, a lot of my success was based on just being really gritty and really tough and not tapping and being dumb. And I think that that's definitely changed a lot as I've gotten older. I still have a little bit of that where I'm just like,
sometimes the feral possum comes out.
Yeah, exactly. But generally, I think what I've changed is, like, be more mindful of doing things in a way that protects my body.
Yeah.
And some of that is also learning how to move. Like I said in an earlier episode, like, I didn't learn how to grapple until I started jujitsu. And I was just talking with another white belt the other day who I think I overhead swept her, and because she was saying that her shoulder was hurting because she didn't roll. And it looked like she rolled to me, but maybe she didn't. So now I feel bad. But But I had the same thing where someone's sweeping me and I don't know to just roll through it, and instead I just land on my shoulder, and then I separated my shoulder that way from doing that a couple times where I'm like, "Oh, my shoulder hurts," but like, "Oh, pain is stupid." Meh." Um, and so I think now, making sure that you understand how you're supposed to move so that you protect your body. Even something as simple, how some people are they're when they're passing your half guard. We saw a video of someone, it low key looked like they intentionally just destroyed this person's knee, where they did that way.
Mhm.
If someone after when my hip was hurting, I'm gonna go
If someone
backwards.
externally rotates your ankle outward
Yeah,
where your knee is going is not able to follow very easily, you can absolutely destroy
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's what the reaping rule is trying to prevent,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
that kind of
exactly.
motion,
But
yeah.
and people will wrap up the leg
Mhm.
so that your shin is kind of on their shoulder. And when I was having some hip pain, I was asking my ortho, this is a good question if you're ever having pain, like, hey, what kind of movements will make this worse? Okay, we're cool, we're not in surgery land, seems like things are trajecting well, but what can I do to make sure I'm not like making a labral tear worse? And they said making sure that you're not externally rotating your foot a lot so that it puts pressure on your hip. And so now when someone does that, I'm a lot more defensive. I might straighten my leg. I'm just like very like, don't let them
Yeah.
put a lot of pressure there. So I think having some awareness of where past injuries means I need to be more careful. I feel pretty lucky in that, I can still invert. Not that well, but but I will invert and I'll play a bolo game, and it's something that I'm still working on advancing. And I don't have really any neck pain, and if I start to get kind of achy, it's time to go see the chiropractor. But and so I think luckily I feel like I'm still in that, oh, most of the game options are pretty open to me. I haven't had to really stop inverting or playing. I've never been that flexible. So like playing, more flexible guards or whatever. What about you?
I think that a lot of my game is I'm just like way better than I used to be.
Mhm.
I have a lot more dynamic and varied game, but that's kind of like probably mostly as it relates to just time on mat and
Mhm.
learning and continuing to like iteratively and improve. But as far as like fundamental changes in my game, I think, and this is also probably a I've gotten better understanding of jujitsu, but I used to be a lot more wrestling
Mm, mhm.
heavy and passing with like an okay guard, but like, definitely like more pass heavy. And it's funny, like through my career, it's like when I first started, I was like pulling guard is lame, blah. And then I was like, well, I'm gonna get swept sometimes
Yeah.
or get taken down occasionally, so I should be good at guard. And so then I like kind of fell in love with guard for a while, and I was like, well, I'm getting into guard too much. Okay, now I'm gonna do so I kind of oscillate
Mhm.
where my like predominant. And now I'm like I've been in guard for a long time, and I
Mhm.
think that like I probably gravitate towards guard a little bit more because of I think three reasons. I always talk in threes usually. Always usually is a little bit of contradiction, but one, it's just and by far the most important is it's way less energy,
Mhm.
so much less energy. So especially when I was working, I was really busy and stuff like that, and I was getting like 2.5 times a week training at most, and still competing. Like I got to go to something that I can be able to execute well. And in conjunction with that, because I was going there a lot, even when tired or whatnot, I have a very effective, very elite guard. I think. I don't get my guard pass very often, and I'm able to get a lot of submissions from the guard. So I probably over years have like really gravitated towards that. Some of that again is just understanding the game more, understanding jujitsu more, but it's also I've cultivated that because it's a little bit easier. And three, I don't know, I feel like the guard has so much more fun stuff to happen because if done really well, you have so many opportunities to sweep, but really you have so many cool submissions to be had
Mhm.
from the guard. Where of course you have that from passing as well, but mostly like you're trying to pass the guard and then cool
Yeah.
stuff happens. So I think probably, and I've always been in half guard since like beginning. So it's like a half guard heavy game. So it wasn't like, oh, I got older or got to brown belt and I started playing half guard. Like I've always been playing half guard. I actually don't even like closed guard. I call it peasant guard. I think I stole
You
that
stole that
from
from
Margot.
Margot,
Yeah,
from Margot Cicerelli.
yeah. I
Yeah.
stole that from. I was like,
Yep.
yes, that's great because I didn't have a good derogatory phrase for it. But I mean, obviously, it's super powerful and it has a lot of effectiveness, but not really my game. So I think that for the most part, because of life happenstance, and I guess that's part of growing older, is I've gotten into a more energetic, uh, energetically efficient kind of game.
Mhm.
Now I'm on the upswing back to, okay, I'm going to focus a little bit more on like the guard passing and maybe a
Mhm.
little bit more of the takedowns. And so I'm going to explore that for the next couple months. While also obviously playing guard and everything. But I think that's like one of the major things. Oh, and like I used to rely a little bit more on just like kind of athleticism, although I feel like I'm probably even more athletic than I am now than I was then. But I used to rely on it a little bit more.
Interesting.
But
I
oh,
do. It's funny where I feel like some people would be like, "Oh yeah, I don't invert," or "Oh, I don't go for these flying attacks," or whatever. And that's definitely a consistent through thread for most people who are doing them in, at blue belt or purple belt or whatever, or white belt. And for me, I think I think now I'm like, I want more athletic, dynamic attacks because I'm gonna try to trust that I can move in that way.
yeah. I think you
And
needed time to
yeah,
learn how to move in your body in
yep.
this context.
Hmm.
Whereas other people are like, oh, I'm just gonna send it, or
Yeah,
they're more used to it or whatever. I
yeah.
never did flying attacks.
Hmm.
I'm not going to start.
Yeah, yeah.
So I never had to worry about that.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's actually what's funny to your point is I want more where, oh, I'm moving over the guard for the guillotine, and potentially sacrificing position, but I'm going for that attack or I'm going for that like cartwheel Kimura, and so it's funny to be working on those things now rather than in my 20s. Or at least at least in a way that might have more success. We'll see. We'll find out. Or I'll just be like, oh, that was dumb. I just
All
landed on my
right.
shoulder or something.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that anymore.
Separated shoulder stories coming soon.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Now our last question before I check it or wrap up. What does success mean to you in jiu-jitsu?
Mhm.
Purposely very vague. I'd be curious also from the audience if you guys have guys and gals and others, cats, dogs, whatever. What does success mean to you in jiu-jitsu? How do you interpret that, and what would you say is your answer?
I think a long time. So I'll say I think success in jujitsu is going to be a really varied response depending on who you ask. I
And
think
when you ask them too, because
yeah,
it's going to
exactly.
change throughout their career, and that's
So
what it should do.
exactly. I think once I started to get into jiu-jitsu, of course I wanted competition success, but one thing that I really wanted that became kind of a heuristic for me is I want a lot of people to want to train with me. I want to be the person that they're like, "Oh, you should grab Lauren. She's really technical and she's safe and like it's going to be a great round and everyone's going to feel like it benefits." Especially as a woman, I was like, I want other women to want to train with me. And I think that has been a guidepost for me for a long time. And I feel like I've mostly succeeded in that. And so I think that was kind of my early guide. And I think it's interesting where it's a little harder now to pinpoint what I think success in jujitsu is because I'm like, jujitsu, it's just a way of life. But
You
in some level,
still are like that.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is that it's where when I was earlier, the success that I wanted in jujitsu was probably competition success and an an esoteric sense of I'm actually good at this thing, You know, I think I really wanted to be good at jujitsu, and I'm still trying. No, I feel pretty good, but it's crazy where now my sense of how deep the waters is in terms of skill development. I'm like, I'm gonna be working on a Berimbolo system for like the next
And
10 years, and it's
and if you
still.
ever run into, which is like almost impossible not to, the comparativeness,
Yeah, exactly. That's
there's
why my
always
joke is
bigger
I
fish.
want to be as good at, you know, these systems as an AOJ blue belt, you know. But so I think now I'm not really sure what success looks like now, but I think that it's probably some level of simply continuing to be able to do what I'm doing right now, you know, which is
Mhm,
like competing at high levels and getting to train and having my body, you know, some of the time do what I'm trying to get it to do.
mhm.
And feeling good in those aspects. And if at some point competing isn't feeling as fun or I'm feeling ready for a break, respecting that, um, I would like to win like a Master Worlds. That would be really nice, you know. And so I think eventually it could be working to that, but I don't think that I feel like, oh, that's what success means, you know.
Mhm.
On some level, like I feel like there, you know, and that's really cool. I think too, a long time ago, success for me was getting to the point where I could teach seminars and retreats, and that was really a long term goal of mine. And it's been really cool. I really appreciate you helping that come to fruition, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
gets me
course.
like a little teary or something. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really
Yep.
cool to finally be in that place, even if it's like, oh, I still want to feel like I have more to offer, or what I'm offering is even higher quality. You know, what does
Yeah.
success mean to you, David?
I think that you undervalue yourself sometimes, and I think that there's so many people that look up to you and appreciate your game and what you have to offer, and it is my pleasure and honor to help unlock that in a small way. So,
Thanks.
yeah. Okay, success. What does success mean to me in jujitsu? I think four things. One, being on the mats regularly.
Yeah.
And that might change here and there, but being on the mats regularly, being as pain free as possible. Bumps and bruises and injuries are going to happen, but try to mitigate that. Um, Giving back to the community by this podcast, doing seminars and teaching, helping people out as I can, and continuing to grow, continuing to get better. So I'd say the success right now, the definition for me is training regularly, being pain free as possible, giving back, and I think uh, continuing to progress, get better, learn,
Mhm.
put myself out there. And that's what I am striving for in the new year.
Did you have any other did success mean anything differently to you at earlier belts? Did you have any other, I guess, success and goals is maybe kind of the way I'm saying it's a little interchangeable.
Well, if you're using them as synonyms,
Mhm.
as like the meaning the same, I think there's been times where I really wanted to win a major,
Mhm.
um, and that felt good when I won my first one.
Mhm.
I wanted to win a world title. That felt really good when I won that one, especially because it was a bounce back from taking third in my division. I won the absolutes, which was awesome. Um, I think that success has varied over many years, and some of it's been a lot of external validation, um, and other times it's been how am I able to impose my game in the majority of situations, um, and putting myself in the best position to do well at tournaments has been like the more recent, not more recent, but like the first it was like win stuff, and
Mhm.
now it's like get put myself into a position to win stuff, and now it's just like be still able to do things
Yeah.
that, and like I say that like kind of in jest, but also like if I continue to train and have my body be healthy and continue to progress, that goes without saying that those things are going to happen. Like
Yeah.
tournament wins and super fight wins and, you know, winning belts and stuff like that. That's going to happen if I'm able to accomplish what success looks like to me. And I think that one core aspect is like giving back to the community in some small ways, even if, you know, making some money from it would be nice, but also just being able like to pass on a little bit of the wisdom that I've had through my career and stuff. So I think by nature things are going to evolve, and success might be different for me in 3 years, 6 months. But for the most part, it's like be on the mat, be progressing, be helping out people, and be healthy.
I think that was my other goal, success, whatever, was that I really wanted to eventually be someone that people look to for wisdom on jujitsu.
Yeah.
And that was because I think that's one thing that we think about, you know, especially with like social media or things like that. Like, how do I want to portray myself to the world?
Yeah.
Why are people seeking me out? And I think that especially as a woman who's, you know, entering my my later years or whatever, my midlife, whatever, I think being someone that people, regardless of gender, ideally, uh regardless of their gender, they're like, oh, Lauren has like good technique to offer and good wisdom on how to move through this journey of jujitsu, was definitely a goal. And I think I would recommend to people to think about those things and have them, you know, be kind of your guiding North Star. Cause like I mean, it's funny that you're like, as long as I do these things, competition success will come. I think for a lot of people it doesn't, you know, or it's like, maybe it does, but it's a lot more like, who knows? And I think it's good that, I think that's a good mindset to have, because then even if it doesn't come, you're like, well, hey, it's sometimes it's not going to happen, you know?
Yep.
But I think what I'm saying is for other people, you know, in jiu-jitsu or in life or whatever, having that guiding thing of like, this is the vague sense of what I want to accomplish with these things that I'm trying to do, helps us, like, I don't know, like make inroads in that direction.
Totally.
You know?
And I think like right now, you know, it's the end of the year, the new year is, you know, hours away. It's a good time to reflect on like, what does success mean to you? And I think the only advice that I have, there's a lot, there's so many advice, but the only advice that I have is, as best as you can, focus on what you can actually control and not just the outcome. Like winning a world title or winning, you know, a specific tournament or whatnot. Like you are only one of many involved in that equation. And so, if you're like, hey, I want to win a world title, I want to maximize my opportunity to win a world title, is a better framing than I want to win a world title.
Yeah.
And that's the important part. It's the journey too that you learn along the way, and you're casting as many votes as possible to get that. And it's going to suck if you don't, but at least you can be like, I did what I needed to do, and it wasn't meant for me that day.
Yeah.
And as painful as that is, it's not, you're not a failure anymore. You succeeded, but you didn't get that like, you know, the medal from it, the outcome that you wanted, but you hopefully will, after the hurt and the pain from it, feel proud that you did do the thing that you needed to do.
And I think what you're kind of getting at is turning, you maybe have this, oh, I want to win a major or something, and you're going from that outcome goal, you're turning it into these process goals. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I think that part can be really cool, where, you know, now I can say, oh, I didn't, you know, win Nogi Worlds or whatever, but I worked a lot on all of these things, and I saw so much improvement in that time. And that part is hopefully, you know, cool enough. So it is interesting seeing the back and forth of like, oh yeah, there's the, again, I think there's the idea of where I want to be, you know, and what goals I want to accomplish, and then using those as North Stars in your actions, like every day and in months and years to come, and everything, and seeing where that goes. Yeah.
Totally. Well, I'm excited for the closing out of this year and the upcoming new year.
Yes.
We have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yay!
woo!
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for
Sponsors are welcome.
subscribing. Yes, and yeah, and
If Hum
mhm.
wants to, so
Yeah, hum.
Hum,
I know,
yeah.
I call it hum.
You know, I think the new year is going to present a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities, a lot of great memories and everything else like that. I hope to you guys and gals and farm animals and whatnot are to try to cultivate a positive impact on the community around you and your own journey and enjoy the ride as much as you can and I look forward to what we have in store. Hopefully good things on our end and we can continue to ramble on and you guys find it interesting. So thank you. So it's been an honor and pleasure so far and hopefully the journey continues for many years to come.
Indeed.
And with that,
thanks for watching, and we'll see you in 2026 in just a few hours.
Yep. Team
Awesome.
Chaos out.
Team Chaos out. Ow, ow, ow.
Oh, wow.